talk a little bit about why you chose this bottom-up approach, sort of educating the kids to educate their parents?
Well, because it's worked before. I mean, we'll take any approach when it comes to environmental education that works, but we know that one thing about the environmental movement, young people understand it, young people get it, but one of the things that we know is that young kids can go home and their parents will listen to them, because I have yet to meet the parent, whether it's in the corporate boardroom or an environmental advocate, who you can't reach by talking to them about their children.
Yeah, she's right about a couple of things there. Indoctrinating your children in school has worked before. I'll let you figure out when and where that was successful. Let's not send our kids home to educate their parents, though. What do you say? Her argument is that kids just know. No, kids don't know. No. Instead, they're vulnerable, innocent vessels to fill up with governmental climate change messages that is being force-fed to them. How is this not government propaganda? How is this not outrageous to every American Republican, Democrat, and Independent? Included in their wonderful message is the hardcore, factual, no-spin link between the environment and racism. Yes, environmental justice.
When we think about environmental protection, there was a time when my father, living in the South, would have been forced to drink unsafe water out of different pipes and different fountains because of his race. And we also need to make clear that environmentalism goes hand in hand with traditional civil rights and social justice issues. Now's the time for us to broaden the conversation about the environment, to expand the tent of our coalition.
That is so fantastic. Every parent and everyone who ever had to fight for real civil rights should band together peacefully to resist this insidious new direction our government is taking. To use the plight of the poor, to use minorities to sell discredited global warming hoaxes is despicable. To add racism to it defies any kind of logic or decency. America, this is a full frontal assault on your sensibilities, an insult to our intelligence. It's time to stand up and say enough is enough. Enough is enough. Leave our children alone. Back in a minute. We started telling you about Cass Sunstein last night, our regulatory czar. I've called him the most dangerous man in America because Sunstein's job is to figure out how to make people do what the government wants them to do, but in a stealth sort of way. He's a good candidate for a job like that. We told you about the paper he wrote way back in 2008 when he pondered how to make people stop believing in what he calls conspiracy theories. But conspiracy theories sound an awful lot like disagreement with the government. You know what I mean? Let's look at his cures here. May we? Here is his cure. 1. Ban conspiracy theories. The government should ban them. How a government with an amendment guaranteeing freedom of speech bans a conspiracy theory is absolutely beyond me. But it's not beyond a great mind and a great thinker like Cass Sunstein. He promises just a few sentences later that his idea, quote, will have a place under imaginable conditions, end quote. Whoa. Another idea that will have a place under these imaginable conditions is this one. Government might impose a special kind of tax, financial or otherwise, on those who disseminate such conspiracy theories. This is weird, if I may go back to history. It's kind of like when, when we gave the right to vote to everyone, and then some decided to apply a poll tax on those they didn't want voting. Remember? That didn't work out real well. So what we did is we amended the Constitution to stop it because it was wrong. And another thing here, the impose a tax, financial or otherwise. What other kind of tax is there besides financial? What is the otherwise part? Don't worry, Cass Sunstein's got it all worked out. And by the way, he doesn't advocate either of those ideas being implemented right now. No. What he thinks the government should be doing right now is very, very simple. Our main policy claim here is that the government should engage in cognitive infiltration of the groups. He's talking about Americans. Coming in and infiltrating the groups that produce conspiracy theories. Yeah. Conspiracy theories equal anti-government speech. That's what it is. Government might itself engage in counterspeech. That's the next one. They might engage in counterspeech, marshaling arguments to discredit conspiracy theories. Really? That sounds an awful lot like all the websites that Barack Obama has started. Remember the campaign? End the Smears. And now WhiteHouse.gov. Reality check. More of Sunstein's ideas and how they're being enacted right now. Next. Conspiracy theories to Cass Sunstein equals anti-government speech. Anti-government speech. How do you get people to stop believing anti-government speech? Tea Party's been called anti-government. Conspiracy theories by Cass Sunstein. Well, ban conspiracy theories, impose a tax, engage in counter-speech. This is from a paper that he wrote way back in 2008. The fourth one here is hire private parties. Government, he says, quoting, might formally hire credible private parties to engage in counter-speech. Well, now, wait a minute. This doesn't sound anything like Jonathan Gruber, the MIT economist, who was writing a completely objective op-ed about the glories of healthcare reform, while no one asked him a single question about the fact that he was being paid about $400,000 by the Obama administration. That's nothing like number 4. Not at all. Also recall that the left was constantly complaining about this tactic back when George W. Bush was in office. I was too. Claiming that it was illegal, they claimed. I said it was unethical. Finally, Sunstein advocates sending covert agents into your chat room. A covert government agent into your online social network, or even your real space group. So the guy next to you at a Tea Party meeting or something might be a covert government agent. Wow, that sounds good. After seeing the widespread reports of Tea Party crashing, not to mention dozens of identical letters to the editor supporting Obama's policies written to newspapers all across the country, one might have to question, is that a coincidence? Is that a conspiracy theory? Sunstein himself admits that some of these conspiracies have been proven true, such as Watergate. But don't worry, he recommends, and I quote, as a general rule, true accounts should not be undermined. Oh, as a general rule, the truth shouldn't be? I'd like to make that a blanket. That's just wonderful. We tell you all the time, it's not about right and left. It's about right and wrong. Big government, small government. Small government. Because if your government isn't big, they don't have the power to do things like sending in covert agents. Let me talk directly to Democrats, just for a second. If you're a Democrat, please ask yourself this question. Sunstein right now is targeting those who don't agree with global warming, because he says it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy theorist that doesn't believe, flat earther. In the paper, he specifically targets a sitting senator, James Inhofe. Now, that might be wonderful to you, but another conspiracy theory he targets is the idea that AIDS was created by the government. Now, think about what that means, because if Cass Sunstein's idea were implemented, and then George Bush followed this president, it's very possible that a target of infiltration would have been Jeremiah Wright's church. Therefore, it would have been possible that the man sitting next to Barack Obama in the pew every Sunday would have been an undercover federal agent working on behalf of George W. Bush. How do you think you would have reacted the day that was splashed on the front page of the New York Times? Do you have that reaction? The outrage? Is that the feeling that you have right now? If it's not, you have to ask, why are you reacting differently today? Back in a minute. Gandhi said, use truth as your anvil, nonviolence as your hammer, and anything that doesn't stand the test, when it is brought to the anvil of truth and hammered with nonviolence, reject it. Live it. From New York. Good night, America.